Macau, one of the most bizarre cities I have visited. It is a city of contrasts. East meets West, old meets new. Most people know Macau as the Las Vegas of Asia. With around 30 to 40 casinos across the city, it is easy to get caught up in casino hopping. My fear of missing out pushes me to visit around 20 casinos in just one trip. Looking back, it is exhausting. I am doing this marathon and bring it all to you on camera, so you don't have to. I start my Macau adventure from Bangkok International Airport. Today, I'm flying with Thai Lion Air, a budget airline. The flight takes about 2 hours and 40 minutes, bringing me to Macau International Airport. My flight lands late. Immigration takes longer than expected. Then, my ATM card refused to dispense any cash. Great. I have no choice but to exchange only 100 renminbi at the airport. And it becomes 109 Macau Pataka. And just like that, 109 Macau Pataka is all the money I have to survive in Macau until I draw cash in the city center. By the time I rush to the bus shuttle stop, I watch the last free shuttle bus disappear into the night. My panic mode activated. It is almost 11 p.m. and I'm still stranded at the airport. I don't even have a plan B. So I frantically opened Google Maps and tried to figure things out. After 10 p.m., many bus services have already stopped running. At this point, I don't care which bus I take. I just need one that gets me out of the airport. The next bus to arrive is MT4. It is not the route I want. But I can't afford to wait. Even if it means walking later, I just hop on. For just 6 Macau Pataka, the MT4 turns out to be an unexpected bargain. The journey is long, but it becomes my first night tour of Macau. I keep looking out of the window, trying to remember the roads, the neighborhood, and places I might grab a meal after checking in. Eventually, I arrive at my hotel. The cheapest one I can find in Macau at that time. Deluxe Hostel. Honestly, there's nothing deluxe about it. The 160 Singapore dollars I pay for 2 nights looks nothing like the photos online. The hotel takes my only 100 Macau Pataka notes as a refundable deposit. That leaves me with just 3 Macau Pataka, so no dinner. I guess the only thing left to do is go to sleep. I start my day in Macau with just 3 Macau Pataka in my pocket. That is less than 50 Singapore cents. I am the kind of traveler who doesn't feel comfortable without cash on hand. So my first mission is simple. Find money. I still need to pay for my 2-night stay and cover the rest of my travel expenses. Just behind my hotel, I come across Tou Tei Temple. Whenever I travel, I like to stop by a temple or church to pray for a safe journey. Right beside the temple, I notice a narrow pathway leading uphill. curious, I follow it. To my surprise, it opens up to Camoes Garden, one of Macau's oldest and most historic public parks. Macau is such a compact city that finding a large green space feels like a luxury. I love parks like this. Huge century-old trees, thick twisting roots, and plenty of shades. It feels peaceful. I continue climbing to higher ground. From up here, I get a panoramic view across Macau. I can see both sides of the city. The glamorous skyline with its towering casinos, and the older, weathered neighborhood where everyday life carry on. That's what makes Macau so fascinating. It is a city where the old and new exist side by side. I continue walking through the Old Town of Macau early in the morning. My mission is simple. Find an ATM or money changer, whichever comes first. The narrow streets immediately remind me of old Hong Kong. Except here, everything feels cleaner and better preserved. This is the old Southern China charm that I like. Rows of traditional shophouses, narrow alley, and buildings that may have been given a new lease of life with colorful murals and restored facades. One feature I always look for is Macau's iconic black and white Portuguese mosaic pavement. The moment I see this beautifully laid stone tiles beneath my feet, I know I'm entering the heart of Macau Historical District. Senado Square is famous for this wave-pattern Portuguese cobblestone and its pastel-colored, no-classic buildings. Following the wave-pattern streets uphill, I pass rows of souvenir shops, bakery, and local snack stores. From here, it's a short walk to the company of Gigi Square, the gateway of Macau's most famous landmark. No one comes to Macau without visiting the ruins of St. Paul's. To get there, I climbed the 68 stone steps leading to the top. Thankfully, it is still early in the morning. The crowds are manageable. Come after 11 AM and this place becomes a sea of tourists. Finally, I reached the ruin of St. Paul's. This iconic stone facade is all that remains of what was once the largest Catholic church in East Asia. A devastating fire in the year 1835 destroyed almost the entire complex, leaving behind only the magnificent granite facade that has become the symbol of Macau today. Don't stop at the facade. Many visitors miss the Sacred Arts Museum and the crypt beneath it. Inside, you will find religious relics, a central tomb, and the archaeological foundation of the original church. It is one of the best places to appreciate the history behind this remarkable UNESCO World Heritage site. After coming down from the ruins of St. Paul's, I head into the bustling shopping streets below. One thing you quickly notice here, almost every souvenir shop offers free food samples. The only question is how thick-skinned you are to ask for more. The quiet morning is gone. I decide I will come back another time. As I wander through the back lanes, I keep stumbling upon small Chinese temples and roadside altars tucked away between old buildings. Every now and then, I turn a corner and discover beautiful restored pastel color houses. Soon, I find myself on Rua da Alfandega. I don't even need Google Maps to know where I am. It feels like I have accidentally walked into Macau Little Philippines. But my mission now isn't sightseeing. It's finding cash. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is to find a money changer in downtown Macau. After almost 2 hours of walking, success at last. I finally find a money changer hidden beneath one of these qilo. Recharged with cash, the first thing I do is eat. I walk into Sunrising Restaurant, a typical cha chan tang along the main road. A cha chan tang is a Hong Kong and Macau version of an all-day cafe. The menu is unbelievably long. Western food, Chinese favorites, Macanish dishes, rice, noodles, soup, everything seems to be under one roof. I order their pork rice sets for 55 Macau Pataka. I am simply too hungry. My last proper meal was almost 24 hours ago. After filling my stomach, I decide to solve another problem. Macau coins are huge. After just a few hours, my pocket already feels heavy. The most popular local e-wallet here in Macau is M-Pay, which is widely used across Macau for buses, restaurants, and shops. So I top up 100 Macau Pataka into my M-Pay wallet. The staff at 7-Eleven patiently shows me how everything works. From now on, I don't have to carry a pocket full of coins anymore. I continue getting pleasantly lost in Macau UNESCO Historic Center. Around every corner, there's another temple I don't know the name of, or another beautiful church quietly tucked between rows of old buildings. I absolutely love it. One of them is St. Lawrence Church. It is one of the 3 oldest Catholic churches in Macau. The church architecture you see is one of elegant neoclassic design and subtle Baronic influence. I continue wandering without any real destination. That's the beauty of Macau. Sometimes the best discovery happens when you don't follow an itinerary. I look across Nam Van Lake. It is hard to imagine that this peaceful waterfront was once part of a natural seawater bay. In the late 1990s, land reclamation transformed it into a man-made lake as you see today. With the Macau skyline reflecting on the water, it is a nice change of pace from the crowded tourist streets. That is exactly why I enjoy wandering Macau on foot. You never know what you will discover around the next corner. I'm walking along Macau CBD for one reason. Margaret's Cafe and Nata. It is one of Macau's most famous bakeries, best known for its freshly baked Portuguese egg tarts. But then, I see the queue. No chance, I only have 1.5 days in Macau. Every minute counts. Then, with one turn around the corner, there it is, Grand Lisboa Macao. Standing 260 meters with 47 floors, This iconic landmark has dominated Macau's skyline since it is built in the year 2007. Its distinctive lotus-inspired design is impossible to miss. But if you ask me, I still prefer the nostalgic charm of the original Hotel Lisboa. Opened in the year 1970, it was Macau's first 5-star hotel and one of the city's earliest luxury casino resorts. It has that classic old Macau character that I really enjoy. One thing I can tell you though, whether you gamble or not, the complimentary drinks are served generously. I head back to the Grand Lisboa because I have heard so much about Macau's famous free casino shuttle buses. It's my first time trying one, so honestly, I am a little nervous. Do I need to show a hotel booking? Do I need to be a casino member? Apparently, none of that. I simply board the bus and without a single question, the bus pulls off from the Macau Peninsula heading south. Complimentary shuttle buses connect many of Macau's major casinos, ferry terminals, and border crossing and the airport. Macau really isn't a big city. It is only about 1/20th the size of Singapore. The territory is mainly divided into Macau Peninsula, Taipa, Cotai, and Kelowna. Within each area, it is easy to explore on foot. It is traveling between them where transport becomes useful. Soon, the shuttle bus arrive at Grand Lisboa Palace Resort Macau in Cotai. Since Lisboa has kindly given me a free ride, the least I can do now is to show you what's inside. From the outside, the resort looks like a giant European palace. Step inside and everything sparkles. Marble floors, grand chandeliers, golden details everywhere. Then something catches my eye. New Yaohan. For those who grew up in my generation, that is a name that instantly brings back memory. Walking deeper into the resort, I admire the elegant European architecture, the Italian marble, and of course, my favorite, the beautiful Portuguese-style wall tiles. Before I begin my casino hopping around Cotai, there's one place I really don't want to miss. The Karl Lagerfeld Hotel. It is the only hotel in the world with interior entirely designed by Karl Lagerfeld. His vision blends traditional Chinese influences with contemporary Art Deco in what he called modern chinois. Every material, patterns, and pieces of custom furniture was personally designed or approved by him over 5 years. Even if you don't stay here, it is worth dropping by just to admire the design. It feels less like a hotel and more like walking through a living work of art. I noticed another shuttle bus queue forming nearby. You know us Singaporean, we just love joining a queue, even when we have no idea what we are queuing for. So, I join it. Honestly, I have no clue where this bus is taking me. Hopefully, not somewhere they will sell me off. After a short ride, everyone starts getting off. Naturally, I follow the crowd. For a moment, I am completely lost. I take a few turns look around, and slowly getting my bearings. Then it hits me. I am now in Taipa Village. And just ahead is Rua du Cunha. I have seen this famous street in many travel vlogs. Now, I finally know where I am. Even though I have watched plenty of YouTube videos before coming, seeing it in person is so much better. Rua du Cunha has a very Instagram-friendly vibe. Originally part of the old Taipa Village, this narrow pedestrian street has been transformed into one of Macau's most popular food streets while preserving its old village character. The buildings are painted in bright pastel colors. The lanes remain narrow. It still feels charming despite all the souvenir shops, cafes, and restaurants moving in. Commercialization is inevitable. But thankfully, the old character is still here. Then I spot Lok Kei Bakery. The birthplace of Macau famous Portuguese tart has been drawing visitors ever since Andrew Stowe introduced his version of the pastel de nata in the year 1989. And look at that queue. Would you join in? I know my answer already. No chance. Instead of joining the queue for Lok Kei Bakery, I head to Yee Shun Milk Company instead. Whenever I travel to Hong Kong for work, this has been my favorite dessert stop. Only on this trip do I realize the brand actually started in Macau before expanding into Hong Kong. Of course, I ordered their signature double skin steamed milk pudding. Oh my, it is comfort food at its finest. One spoon, and I remember exactly why I keep coming back. Rich, creamy, yet incredibly light. Despite becoming so commercialized, there is still something I really like about Taipa Village. Maybe it's the colorful streets, or maybe it's simply the happy atmosphere. It just feels like a place where people slow down and enjoy life. What surprises me even more is that the edge of Taipa Village is only a short walk from the famous Cotai Strip. One moment, I'm wandering through the narrow village lanes. The next, I'm standing among some of the biggest integrated resorts in Asia. Cotai is Macau's answer to the Las Vegas Strip. It is built on reclaimed lands and home to many of the city's largest hotels, shopping malls, and casinos. My first stop, Galaxy Macau. The highlight here is the spectacular Crystal Lobby Show. Built with over 380,000 crystals, the lobby transforms every 30 minutes with lights, music, moving chandeliers, and a giant crystal spear. It looks amazing, but I don't stay for the performance. My schedule is simply just too packed. There are still plenty of integrated resorts waiting for me along the Cotai Strip, and I don't want to miss them. Next door is the Venetian Macao. It is home to one of the largest casino floors in the world. But since Uncle Go Traveling is a wholesome travel channel, so I focus on everything outside the casino. The biggest attraction here has to be the Grand Canal shops. Imagine an indoor Venice. A permanent blue sky above you, canal flowing through the mall, and real gondoliers gliding past while gondoliers singing Italian songs. If you didn't tell me this is indoor, I may actually believe it. The light changes throughout the day to imitate the sky outside. It is amazing, but I cannot stay too long. I still have quite a few integrated resorts left to visit ahead of me. As I rush towards the next resort, I cannot help stopping every few minutes just to admire the scenery. Honestly, this place is a maze. It certainly doesn't help that my last visit here was more than 20 years ago. Before I know it, I somehow wander into the Plaza Macao, home to the Four Seasons Hotel Macau and a collection of luxury boutiques. I even stumble upon the famous Louis Vuitton corridor. Believe it or not, I did not plan any of this. Everything you are seeing it here is completely spontaneous. I am simply following the walkways, hoping they lead somewhere interesting. Eventually, the sign points me towards Parisian Macau. And wow, it really feels like a slice of Paris in Macau. The Grand Golden Dome, inspired by Les Invalides in Paris, is absolutely stunning. Following the signs for Champs-Élysées and Place Vendôme, I suddenly discover a huge animated ceiling projection overhead. Then, completely by chance, I run into streetmosphere performers dressed in vintage European costume. I am not expecting that at all. But here's the problem. I can't find my way out. The more I try to leave Parisian Macau, the more I seem to walk in circles. It feels almost like 鬼打墙. Eventually, I have to ask one of the staff to rescue me. Finally, I made it outside. And there it is, the iconic Eiffel Tower of the Parisian. Even though I have not finished exploring Cotai yet, I already know the Parisian is my favorite integrated resort here. The sun is beginning to set, and I only have today to complete my Cotai adventure. Next stop, the Londoner Macao. Walking through the Londoner feels like stepping into central London. There are the red telephone boxes, London Underground signs, double-decker buses, and a replica of Big Ben. Inside, I arrive at the magnificent Crystal Palace atrium, a soaring glass and steel hall inspired by London's famous 1851 Crystal Palace. I've made up my mind. If I can only watch one show at the Cotai Strip, it is going to be the Londoner changing of the guards. So I quickly finish exploring the resort and return just in time. What a performance! But I won't make you sit through the entire show here. I will be uploading the full performance separately as a YouTube short. After running all over the Cotai Strip, I am completely exhausted. There are still a few more casino resorts left, but I just have to cover as many as I can. Next up is the City of Dreams. To be honest, after seeing the Parisian and the Londoner, everything else starts to feel a little less impressive. But still, there's plenty of glitter, luxury boutiques, and grand interiors. But the wow factor is slowly wearing off. Then I arrive at the Morphos. Now this is something special. Designed by the legendary Zaha Hadid, Morphos is the world's first skyscraper supported by a free-form steel exoskeleton. Just looking at the building is an architectural experience in itself. But I have to admit, I didn't do enough homework before coming. As someone who really appreciates Zaha Hadid's work, I should have spent more time appreciating the exterior. That is one regret I will carry home. Next stop, MGM Cotai. This is where my FOMO really catches up with me. I insist on visiting almost every major integrated resort along the Cotai. Looking back, a full day would be the most sensible way to explore everything. Instead, I squeeze it all within half a day. I only have myself to blame. Finally, I arrive at Wynn Palace. The large performance lake instantly reminds me of the Bellagio fountain I saw in Las Vegas more than 25 years ago. Except that Macau adds its own twist. Here in Macau, you can actually ride the cable car above the lake while watching the fountains below. One day, if I were to come back with someone special, I would love to take that ride. Doing it alone just doesn't feel the same. Inside Wynn Palace, I check out the famous moving flora sculptures. They are beautifully done, but after 4 hours of non-stop visual overload, they just don't impress me as much as I expected. Maybe my eyes are simply tired. Eventually, I find myself back at the Grand Lisboa Palace Resort, right where my Cotai adventure begins. I am only back here for one reason: the free shuttle bus back to the Macau Peninsula. I know there are other shuttle routes I can take, but honestly, my brain is completely fried. I have spent the whole afternoon chasing one spectacular resort after another. The only thing I want to do now is just to sit down. Bye, Cotai. Until next time. The shuttle bus drops me off at Grand Lisboa on the Macau Peninsula. And before heading back to my hostel, I make one final stop inside the casino. Not to gamble, just to enjoy another complimentary drink. Sometimes the best things in Macau really are free. As night falls, I make my way back to the ruins of St. Paul's. I promised myself I would return after the tour group has gone. And I'm glad I did. I always enjoy walking through the old city when the crowd disappears. The streets feel quieter, more peaceful, and somehow more authentic. On the way back, I spot a roadside Tong Sui store. As someone who is a Cantonese but can't really speak Cantonese, there is still a bit of Cantonese culture running through my blood. I have seen this dessert shop countless times in old Hong Kong TVB dramas. Now, I'm finally sitting down to enjoy one myself. I order Fu Zhou Yi Mi, beancurd skin with barley dessert. For 21 Macau Pataka, the dessert portion is surprisingly generous. Simple, comforting, and that's exactly what I need after a long day. Then it suddenly hits me. I have been running around Cotai the entire afternoon without eating a proper meal. Casino hopping has pushed dinner all the way to 11 p.m. So whatever food I see next, that will be my dinner. Just 2 blocks from my hotel, I come across a humble noodle store. What immediately catches my attention is the wall. It is covered with Michelin recognition plaques. I have never seen so many displayed at one restaurant before. It turns out to be Lok Kei, a long-time local favorite that consistently recognized by the Michelin Guide for its Cantonese noodle and congee. I ordered a bowl of wonton noodle for 40 Macau Pataka. The real surprise is the wonton. They are packed with a generous mix of lean pork, fatty pork, and dry flatfish, giving that unmistakable Cantonese taste. After such a crazy day, this simple bowl of noodles might just be the most satisfying meal of my Macau trip. I check out of my hotel. To be fair, I sleep quite well. But will I stay here again? I'm not so sure. I'm leaving Macau today, but since I'm crossing the land border into China later, my schedule is still pretty flexible. Looking back, I am actually surprised by how little I spent in Macau. Despite Macau being one of Asia's most expensive destinations, it is still possible to travel here on a budget. Transportation? Mostly free, thanks to the casino shuttle buses. Drinks? I simply pop into a casino whenever I feel thirsty. Soft drinks, coffee, even beer. All complimentary. Most of the Macau famous attractions are also free to visit. In the end, I spent far less than I expected. I still have quite a bit of Macau currency left, so I top up almost all of it into my MPay wallet. My plan is to use it later through the Alipay Plus network when I travel elsewhere. So in the end, I keep only 3 coins from my first day. Those are coming home with me as souvenirs. But before leaving, one thing I absolutely cannot live without is a Portuguese egg tart. Remember Margaret's Cafe e Nata? Yesterday, the queue was ridiculously long. But today is Monday. I walk straight in. No waiting. Happy Monday indeed. Another item on my wish list is Cantonese dim sum. So I head to Zhen Dim Sum. Since I'm doing a border crossing later, I might as well load up my carbohydrates before the journey. Perfect timing. Before saying goodbye to Macau, there is one last tradition. Wynn Macau. Not for the casino, but for the Prosperity Tree Show. The first time I watched it was more than 20 years ago. Today, it is still running. The golden tree, the opening prosperity door, or the classic Chinese symbol of wealth and good fortune. The show may be old, but it still puts a smile on my face. And that is the end of my Macau adventure. Thanks for traveling with Uncle Go Traveling. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and leave me a comment. If you would like to continue this journey with me into China, don't forget to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, also can. Then I will see you in China.